So here's the deal. The skill set, like a sushi chef, right? This idea of being a sushi chef. You know, end of the day, a sushi chef is so many things, but it always comes back to the guest. The guest is there in front of you. Without them, you have no job. And in Japan, the respect from the guest is huge. It's because you have this training to where you're trying to create the ultimate dining experience for this guest in front of you based on their personal likes, based on how their day went. You're supposed to get to know them and form these relationships. So sushi chefs aren't just about fish or making sushi. Sushi chefs are about people, taking care of people. And that, in a nutshell, is why I fell in love with making sushi. You know, I met all the people in my life that changed my life because I was a sushi chef. This one, don't take the whole belly at once. Come here and take half of it first. So you're doing it in sections instead? Because if this whole thing is too hard, and then come back again, just between the bones here, score it back a little bit, like that. And then right there, same thing. There you go, you got it. ちょっと硬いでしょ? まあ硬いよ。
feels good though.
はい。What's that called, Masa?
Yanagi.
Yanagi?
But it's like a shape like a sword. This is for the only slicing.
Sashimi.
Sashimi.
Only sashimi.
Yeah. So like it's one big edge like this. So like one stroke.
That's yellowtail. The flatter piece that he's cutting right now, that's actually the belly side of the fish. So the very white part, that piece right here, that's basically the toro part of the yellowtail. So there are various levels of quality based on the amount of fat. So the applications depend on what we're using it for. So the best of the fish we'll use for sashimi or nigiri pieces. So if you see this right here, right, there's actually 3 layers of fat on the yellowtail, and you need a really sharp knife to be able to pull off this white layer. You see how it's glistening? It means it's freaking delicious.
Yes.
The idea with Uchi in the beginning was we really wanted to focus on it being an Austin restaurant. We wanted it to be inviting to a point where you could come in sandals and shorts or all dressed up, whatever you wanted. But people would come there and have a great time. My dream for my first restaurant as a sushi restaurant was a house, because that's how it is in Japan. It's very about the hospitality, very comfortable. Well, lo and behold, this was a 1920s bungalow. Uchi, the word itself means home or house. And I like the way it sounds. I like the curvature of the letters. It's very feminine, very becoming. So everything just is perfect fit. Next dish, Tasmanian sea trout with Kaffir lime and Japanese ginger. A lot of sushi places, they have just the sushi chef themselves makes everything. I have it more broken down in a system that I learned from my last sensei. And it's more like a Henry Ford assembly line. So there are very specific stations for certain things. So in this case, this whole area here is just for rolls, for makimono. And then this guy is called Niban. He makes most of the sushi. And then the main guy over here, called Ichiban, he cuts all the fish for everything. And then the one facing over there is Zeroban. He does the cold tastings, composed raw dishes, and some sushi as well. The thing about Uchi is we are traditional, but we're going to bend the rules. We're going to take that idea and apply it to new formats. Take this structure of what's Japanese, we're going to base it on seasonality, but end of the day, what matters most is that bite of food the guest has. Whether it's local or from the other side of the planet, all I want is the best possible product that we can get.
13 years back is when we originally opened. So it's considered kind of one of the OG restaurants. And what I love about this little house is that it constantly stays ahead of the game. When we originally started here, We did about 95% sushi and a 5% kitchen. We had 2-hour waits, and the dining room was fairly empty because everyone wanted to sit in front of Tyson at the sushi bar. And so as we've evolved the back of the house, we brought in some really talented chefs, Paul Key, Philip Spear, Michael Castillo that we have here. All of these chefs have expanded what we do in the kitchen, and Tyson has had a hand in that the entire way.
A little firmer with it.
There's no gelatin or anything?
No gelatin in it.
It's great like that. Flavor is good.
Yep, apple juice, miso, a little sugar.
Yeah, cool. Every time I went to a Japanese restaurant, especially a sushi restaurant, it was always like the sushi was in the foreground and the rest of the menu was always secondary. But as a sushi chef, trying to make these perfect meals and perfect bites of food, I always dreamed of partnering with a chef that made great kitchen food so we could work as a team. If the kitchen food was as good or better than the sushi I already knew how to make, well, then we'd have something. Our menus are 2 menus every day, a core menu that's permanent, and a deli menu, seasonal menu that changes every day. So there's always something new, always something fun, always something exciting. And we tried to integrate the talent in that conversation where they're always working on new dishes, on new items, on pushing the boundaries, raising the bar.
You do a lot of pasta here? More than you would think for a sushi restaurant, for sure. For the specials, we do a lot of stuff. It's more for us to have fun with, like something we normally wouldn't do. It's hard to find that balance of like doing what you want to do and then doing what the people want. We got a couple of farmers and one lady who forages some stuff for us, so we try to use their product like really fast, because it comes in like we can only have it for 2 days, but then we also have to like make it fit into what we do on a regular basis. Malabar spinach blossoms, these things are trippy, so that's probably gonna go with the snail dish that we're gonna put out today. And then dianthus flowers, we actually take these, and you can eat them whole, but we separate the leaves off. They garnish our desserts because they're super mild in flavor, but they're just so beautiful on the plate.
I feel extremely blessed. You know, we're at a point now where we have the ability to grow talent from within our company, because as we grow talent from those people, they define who we are and what our menu is and what we serve, the way we serve it, and lastly, how we grow. It would never open Uchi-ko if it weren't for the people that we had.
Uchi-ko is our sister restaurant. It has threads of what we do. You know, the original kind of take on it was Japanese farmhouse. The flavors are going to be a little bit more in your face, a little bit more forceful in a sense, whereas the Uchi restaurants tend to lean more back on the Japanese tradition. Uchi-ko, you're going to get preserved lemon, a little bit of creme fraiche. You're going to get all different kinds of things.
We opened Uchi-ko because we had people in positions that wanted to move up. We had nowhere to put them. They were going to leave us. And so we said, well, we need to look at opening another restaurant. And selfishly, I really wanted to see if we could spread our wings, what we could do in a bigger space, a bigger kitchen.
I've never trained formally as a sushi chef. No, I started off here as the tempura cook 5.5 years ago. I had heard about Uchi just kind of word of mouth, and I actually thought Uchi was like an art studio or something. I've lived in Austin my whole life, so I used to drive by it, and I didn't really know what it was. And then I started hearing through word of mouth what it was, so I decided that I was gonna go stage, and it just blew my mind. I loved everything about it. It was just incredible. I didn't know that food could taste that way, could look that way, that so much thought and care.
Got a pretty good plate on this.
Oh, we can be better than chef. We can always be better. Tyson has a really good palate, and he's got a really good eye for aesthetics. What he really brings to the table is this idea of Japanese cooking and the delicacy and the finesse that goes into that, the respect for the ingredients, and really bringing that stuff back to life.
The fish is here, right? Charlie. Madai's here, right?
Madai's here, yep.
Okay, let's bust it out. Madai, Japanese bream. It's my favorite fish. It comes from Tsukiji. So this is the Madai. Swim to the camera. These have really, really thick scales on them, and they have really, really sharp teeth. It's crazy. Really expensive. Because the yield is, once we break this fish down, You can tell it's like almost 30% head, right? There's not much fish on it. So we're setting them now. I'm going to cut the madai, and then we do another thing called yubiki, which is we cook the skin with flash boiling water and then shock it with ice water. And very classic technique. That way you get to eat the skin with the sushi together. I came to Austin when I was 19 to go to college. I was working at a grocery store and I got let go. And then had to go find a new job. I was looking all over town and I had this grandiose plan of being a bartender. So I went to a bar called the Elephant Room. I went down the stairs to go to the front door to go inside, and it was locked. They weren't open yet. I looked and there was another set of stairs that went upstairs. So at the top was a glass door, and I went up there and it was called Kyoto, and it was a Japanese restaurant. Yeah, I washed dishes for not long, for a couple months. And then I got to be friends with the sushi chef there. We watched VHS tapes every night, Japanese travel shows, and a lot of food shows. And cook in his apartment, him teaching me about Japanese food. After that 6 and 9 months I spent with him, it was already in my head. I wish I could learn how to make sushi. And so I asked the owners, can I make sushi? Can I be a sushi chef here? They said, you can make sushi, but only if you do it in the kitchen where nobody can see you. They had 2 other chefs leave. They were desperate, and they said, can you please, how about this? Can you work lunch on the sushi bar? Tastes great. I really started to see myself becoming a sushi chef. And the more I did it, the better I wanted to become. Realized that if I was to go from that good to great conversation, I needed to do a few things. One, I needed better teachers. 2, I needed to work at a better place. And there was this word that I heard from some people. There was another Japanese restaurant in town called Musashino. They said, it's much better. You should go check it out. So I went there. Well, after I got done eating, I went up to the owner. You could tell he was the boss, the sensei there. I said, is there any way I could ever get a job here? He took this long pause. I'll never forget it. He goes, do you read or write Japanese? And I said, no, I don't. He goes, you can never get a job here. So I went home and I literally cried. Less than a week later, I went to bed and it was like 2 a.m. and a person started banging on the window of my bedroom. Like, boosh, 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 boosh. They went around to the front door, banging on the door. Well, I went on the door, looked through the keyhole, and it was these 3 Japanese guys, slightly intoxicated. And it was the same guy, the owner of that restaurant. And he walks in, they sit down, they all light up cigarettes, they got beers, I'm in my underwear. He's like, Tyson, we want you to come work for us. I'll pay you double what you're making. When I first started out, I would be working, and again, sushi chef is about the guest, and they're in front of you every day. I started getting regular customers, and the regular customers would always say, Tyson, make me something you never made before, make me something brand new, like perfectionist mentality, like I wanted to be better, and make them something they never had before. So I had to go outside of the box. And I would go to Whole Foods and spend my own money in buying products to combine with the raw fish. And so I would get back to work, and my bosses that were Japanese, very Japanese, it would have been heresy for them. They didn't know I was doing that. So I would stash it all in my cooler. And then when John would come in at noon and he'd sea bass, I'd make sea bass and I would take out the pears or apple or something and combine it together, make them a dish. And then he would go, that's genius. You should make that every day. And I'd be like, I'm not going to have pears every day.
Did you ever get caught by one of your senseis putting fruit?
2 jobs later, when I worked at a place called Musashino for 7 years, a few times, but he gave me more autonomy because the guests were demanding it. That was, again, the next step into really making the hard choice of trying to take the risk and open my own place. One of a few things that got me addicted to making sushi and becoming a sushi chef was you get more chances. So food is consumed immediately. I know that while I was doing it, that in itself is what got me totally just addicted to doing it. There wasn't a day I woke up dreading going to work. I was stoked to go to work. Downtown's right here. We're going to a restaurant called Clark's. It's a seafood restaurant. Great oysters, just fresh fish. As you notice, the restaurants that grow all do one thing well, and to me, it's about hospitality. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
they lock down the menu and they say, we do X, Y, and Z really well. We're gonna make sure every person that walks in that door is gonna have X, Y, and Z. I have this certain honor within me as a sushi chef. I won't serve second-rate food. I only want the best. The sushi chef is like a showman. They eat right in front of you. So you better have some good stuff to give to people you're feeding them, right? So that kind of locked into me really early on. And with Uchi, same thing with the kitchen, same thing with the staff, the front of the house. This culture we've built of people that love to come here and work, it's because they know that as a team, as a group of people, as a family, we're doing everything we can to make it the best possible experience.